You ever get a bill in the mail that's so wrong, so laugh out loud backwards that for a second you think it's got to be a prank? That was me the day I got invoiced for HOA dues by a homeowners association I wasn't even part of. I mean, really, can you picture it? I stood there in my kitchen, coffee in hand, staring at this gold embossed letter like maybe if I blinked enough it'd morph into a coupon for free pizza or something. But nope, it was all real threats, fines, even a bogus lien later on. Turns out they'd picked the wrong guy for this particular shakedown. And you want to know the punchline? The HOA had been dead for years, officially dissolved, on the books. A ghost organization. That my friend was the ace I was about to slap down in court to make their authority vanish once and for all. So let me take you back, because how we got from nice house, welcome to the neighborhood, to a standing room only showdown in court is the kind of saga you think only happens on those trashy reality shows. But no, this was my life, my house, and my own little taste of suburban warfare. First act chaos hits early. I'll never forget the Judge Martinez, big guy, high back chair, this tired, unimpressed look, like he's seen every HOA horror story on earth and maybe lived through a few. He flips to the page I'd filed the official dissolution order, holds it up by the corner like it smells bad. Across the aisle, you got Karen Lander, the president of this long-dead HOA, turning this shade of purple I'd only ever seen on old bruised plums. Her pink power suit, probably chosen to scream, "I'm in charge," just made her look like a deranged flamingo as she started screeching, veins popping, spittle flying, accusing the judge of bias of this being a sham. And there's my wife, Gina, queen of subtlety, phone balanced on her lap, quietly filming Karen's meltdown for future generations. And let's be honest, the neighborhood Facebook group, Gina lives for this stuff. She calls it gathering receipts. Me, I call it justice. Honestly, I tried to keep it together, but watching Karen unravel in public was better than any reality TV I'd ever seen. The judge let her wind down, then, just with this voice like steel wrapped in velvet, tells her to be quiet or be escorted out by the bailiff. Suddenly, the whole place goes so quiet, you could hear a mouse sneeze. Even my neighbors, packed in like sardines, were holding their breath. Judge clears his throat, looks at my paperwork and says, "Longwood Estates, HOA, lost its standing and was administratively dissolved 3 years ago. Therefore, it has no authority to levy dues, enforce covenants, or place liens on any property, including and especially Mr. Hank Drummer's, which was never part of the association to begin with." And then this tiny flicker in his eyes, maybe it was respect, maybe amusement. "The case against you is dismissed with prejudice. All alleged debts are nullified." He turned back to Karen, and you could practically feel the room temperature drop 10 degrees. And here's where the twist came in, because the judge wasn't done. Furthermore, he says, "This court orders a full forensic audit of the association's finances. All liens filed in the last 3 years are hereby declared fraudulent and void. And I am referring this matter to the district attorney's office for investigation into potential criminal charges." I swear you could hear the collective gasp. Losing a civil case is one thing, but the DA, that's a whole other universe of trouble. So how did we get here? Funny thing about the biggest fights of your life, they never start with a bang. It was garbage day. I'd managed to get the bins out before the truck came, personal victory. Gina comes in with the mail, sorting the usual junk, until she holds up that fateful envelope with the HOA logo. Inside, a welcome letter, all syrupy with neighborly pride, and tucked behind it an invoice. $450 due immediately. We both laughed. Gotta be a mistake, right? Our house lot 24 was literally outside the subdivision line, right next to the sign. No HOA, no rules. That's why we bought it. I'm a network engineer, so logic is my life. If A, then B. If our house isn't in the HOA, we don't owe a cent. Simple. I tossed the bill in the recycling bin and went back to my day thinking, problem solved. If only. 2 days later, ding dong, there's Karen on my porch. Late 50s blonde hair lacquered into a helmet, a white pantsuit so crisp you'd think she ironed it with a steamroller. Smile stretched wide, but her eyes are all ice. "Welcome to the neighborhood. Just wanted to make sure you received your dues invoice." Sometimes the mail is so unreliable, isn't it? I told her politely but firmly. We weren't in the HOA. Our lot was outside the line. She didn't miss a beat, just cranked up the volume. Well, that may be a technicality on some old map. But you benefit from the landscaping from our high property values. It's only fair you contribute. I tried to keep it civil, but let's be real, this was a shakedown. I told her point blank, we're not paying. That's when her smile disappeared and out came the veiled threats. It would be a real shame if things got difficult for you here, Mr. Drummer. People who don't cooperate tend to find things very unpleasant. And that's when I knew this wasn't going away with logic. This was war. After that, the letters started rolling in. First, it was friendly reminders, then notices of delinquency fines tacked on interest charges for imaginary bills. I used those letters to start the grill. Next came the violation notices, my trash cans, dandelions by the fence, the wrong welcome mat, each with another fine. I ignored them, but Karen was just warming up. Next Saturday, I'm out mowing the lawn, my zen time, and spot two guys on the curb with a giant measuring tape. Navy Polo's Oak Tree Logo Compliance Committee. One's holding the reel, the other's walking it from my mailbox to the curb. I ask, "What are you doing?" They inform me my mailbox is in violation. Has to be exactly 42 inches from the pavement. I look around and realize curtains are twitching, neighbors are watching. Karen was trying to shame me in public. That's when the tech side of me kicked in. When in doubt, document. I pulled out my phone and hit record. Suddenly, these guys didn't want to be on camera. Gina comes out filming too. They beat a hasty retreat, tripping over their own feet. Gina dry as ever goes. Well, that was fun. She was right. This wasn't about money anymore, it was about power. And I hate bullies. So we got creative. Operation Annoying Neighbor was born. Every Saturday, 7:01 a.m., Sharp City Ordinance says I can mow. Then I'd fire up the loudest mower you've ever heard doing my first laps, right by Karen's house, waving cheerfully. Gina made a huge vinyl sign. This property is proudly not a part of Longwood Estates HOA. We pay no dues. All inquiries please go away. Have a nice day. People honked, gave thumbs up. Karen lost her mind. Every new violation she sent, we answered with another absurd lawn ornament. She said windmills were a distraction. Gina put a 7-foot inflatable flamingo on the roof. Cousin Alex, the law student, got involved, and he said, keep documenting everything. Every letter, every threat, it's evidence. So we built a whole binder of receipts. But Karen escalated. This time, she sent security. One evening, I came home to find a golf cart blocking my driveway. Thick neck now in a cheap security uniform. Wouldn't move. Said my driveway was a designated fire lane. I told him to move. He shoved me. I shoved him back. He was trying to get me to lose my cool. Gina stepped out calm as anything, phone in hand, already calling 911. Police showed up and after reviewing the video sided with us. The officer told Thickneck to get lost and warned Karen one more incident and she'd be the one answering questions. That was the turning point. No more playing defense. Time to dig. Gina's a digital bloodhound. We hit the county records, the plat map, the Secretary of State's registry. That's when we found the bombshell. The HOA had been dissolved, revoked by the state for failing to file paperwork. Karen was running a dead organization, collecting dues and paying herself through a shell company for landscaping. Pure fraud. But we needed an insider, someone from the HOA board. That's when Arthur, the treasurer, handed us a thumb drive at a backyard barbecue, a nervous pale guy who looked like he hadn't slept in months. On that drive, meeting minutes, emails, bank statements, threats. Everything. We had the receipts, the smoking gun. Then Karen made her fatal mistake. She sued me for $5,000 in supposed unpaid dues. I decided to represent myself. Alex coached me, but really all I had to do was line up the facts. Court day arrived and the gallery was packed. Neighbors, some teary, some angry, all hoping the Karen reign would end. Her lawyer droned about community standards, painted me as a freeloader. My turn, I showed the plat map, the dissolution order, the bank statements, and finally, Arthur's testimony proof. Karen had knowingly committed fraud. Her lawyer sputtered. The judge cut him off at every turn. When it was all over, Judge Martinez laid down the law. Miss Lander, in all my years on this bench, I have rarely seen such a blatant, arrogant, and malicious abuse of a civic organization. He declared the HOA dissolved, all liens void, a forensic audit ordered, and all improper payments to be seized and returned. Fines, court costs, And the kicker, he referred everything to the DA for criminal investigation. Karen exploded, shrieking conspiracy, and was escorted out by 2 bailiffs. I had to bite the inside of my cheek to keep from bursting out laughing. Neighbors cheered, some hugged. I shook Arthur's hand. We'd won. The dragon was slain, and her hoard was being returned to the villagers. Weeks later, the air in the neighborhood felt lighter. The "Not in Your HOA" sign came down, replaced with a normal welcome mat. Bob's basketball hoop went back up, Mr. Henderson's wind chimes played a happy tune, and someone painted their door a blindingly cheerful yellow. But Bob's neon green shutters, now those were the real trophy. They glowed like a victory flag you could see from space. Gina and I sat on the porch swing one evening, Buster snoozing at our feet, just soaking up the peace. Proof it turned out beats power every time, especially when that power is built on lies. Looking across the street at those glowing green shutters, I couldn't help but joke. You know, I'm pretty sure that shade of green violates City Code 34B subsection 12. Gina burst out laughing and threatened to hit me if I ever complained. But really what stuck with me most, what makes me shake my head every time I think about it, is how easy it is for power to corrupt and how hard it can be to push back. If Arthur hadn't come forward, if neighbors hadn't finally stood up together, Karen would still be running her little kingdom unchecked. People like her, they thrive on silence, on fear. That's the thing about justice, it's not automatic. Sometimes you gotta fight for it. Gather your receipts, build your case, and show up even when your voice shakes. But when you do, sometimes, just sometimes, karma shows up in a pink suit and gets dragged out of court for all the world to see. So let me ask you this. Where's the line between standing up for yourself and becoming the very thing you're fighting against if someone's in power? How do you keep them from stepping over? Ever had to take on a bully and win? Or maybe lost first, then found a way to fight back? Drop your wildest Karen stories or your own justice moments down in the comments. I want to hear it all. Maybe together we'll all remember proof always beats power, especially when you're not afraid to use it.